The Village of Wheeling Special Meeting Liquor Control Commission is now called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Here.
Commissioner Argyris?
Here.
Commissioner Heer?
Here.
Commissioner Brady?
Here.
Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Chairperson Ebruscato.
Here. Approve the minutes from the special meeting on March 19th.
So move.
Motion made by Commissioner Argyris.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brady. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris?
Yes.
Commissioner Heer?
Yes.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Abstain.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Ebruscato.
Yes.
Annual renewal of liquor licenses 2012 to 2013.
Madam President, if I may, there is one exception. We will need to do this in with two motions. XO Restaurant has had a change in leadership. The president of that organization is new and has submitted all the appropriate paperwork. The background check is in process, and we'd like to make a motion first to approve XO Restaurant conditionally on satisfactory results of background check on new corporate officer. Then we can address the rest in one group.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So move. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Argyris, second by Commissioner Heer. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris?
Yes.
Commissioner Heer?
Yes.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Ebruscato.
Yes. Now we
And then a motion to approve the remaining
The annual license.
establishments.
So move. Second.
motion by Trustee Commissioner Argyris, second by Commissioner Lang. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris?
Yes.
Commissioner Heer?
Yes.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Ebruscato.
Yes.
Madam President, may I interject for a moment?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris pointed out that Commissioner Lang was actually here on March 19th. Do you want to change your vote? Do you want to change that?
We'll need to
Thank
redo
you.
your vote.
Thank you. Okay, hearing in the matter of Westin Hotel Management LP doing business as Tremonto's Steak and Seafood RT Lounge, 601 North Milwaukee Avenue, Suite C, Wheeling, Illinois 60090, docket number 12-01.
Mr. Handler?
Thank you. For the record, it's Stephen Handler, Wheeling Village Prosecutor. We have a petition before the board filed by Chief Benson. The respondent is Westin Hotel Management LP, doing business as Westin, Chicago, North Shore, and DBA Tremonto's. I believe they have representatives here. I would ask that they identify themselves, please.
Please.
Good evening, Zubin Kamula.
You need to come to the mic, please.
Good evening. My name is Zubin Kamula. I'm counsel for the respondent. With me is the general manager, Gurki Singh.
Good evening.
And your name is?
Good evening. My name is Gurki Singh. I'm the general manager at the Westin.
Thank you.
For the record, does Westin acknowledge receipt of the petition filed in this cause?
Yes, we do.
Has the corporate officers had an opportunity to read the petition?
Yes.
And may I ask, are you entering a stipulation that everything is true and correct, or are you contesting it?
We are entering a stipulation.
That everything is true and correct?
Yes, that is correct.
At this point, I believe, I'm sorry.
Can you get them sworn in, please, by the court reporter?
That's fine.
Yeah. Can you take time to maybe swear both of the attorney and the witness?
I do.
I'd ask that the corporate officer actually come forward. What is your position within the corporation?
I'm the acting general manager at the Westin. I'm based out of Boston. The hotel is currently undergoing transition with ownership, so I'm filling in since the prior general manager is no longer here.
And do you have the authority to enter into a plea in this case?
Yes.
And how are you pleading to the case?
I am pleading that we were guilty of the charge.
At this point, since they've now admitted all of the facts set forth in the petition, although I do have witnesses, there's no point in presenting any of them. It would just be repetitive. So I will step aside unless anybody on the board has any questions that I can answer.
Does anyone have any questions?
Just real quick, Mr.
Yes.
Handler, the first offense back in 2011 was when? Do you have that date?
Actually, I believe that the commission keeps the records on that, and they're in the actual records, I believe, that are here tonight. I don't have the exact date.
We've got it.
You have it?
1 second. I'll have it
Sure,
for you.
thanks. I know we heard them April 4th of 2011. I'd like to know when the incident occurred.
Actually, we just may have that April date, Trustee Juris, when we heard it. We don't have the actual date of the incident, but it was in 2011.
Okay. Because this incident occurred January 23rd. Is that correct?
Yes.
2012.
If you're looking for the date of the 2011, so you can compare date to date, I believe I could do that. I just don't know what date the actual order was entered.
I'm just wondering if it's in that 12-month time period of having two incidents within a 12-month period. It's very important to us to know that.
While you're talking to
April 4th, 2000.
That's when they came before the commission. When was the
That's
incident?
when we decided it, right?
I'll
Okay,
get
if
you
you let us know, that's
I'll
fine.
get you the exact date.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Mr. Furlow?
Thank you. Regarding the incident, were there any consequences for the employee? What was done relative to the employee?
The employee was terminated immediately. The incident occurred on the 23rd. He was terminated on the 24th.
And can you describe for the board your policy regarding seeking identification for the sale of liquor?
The policy is to seek identification on all sales, and in this instance, the server just did not follow instructions. My client did receive the notice from the police department that was sent out in December, and all the servers were given a copy of that notice within a few days after it was received. They were all required to sign the notice, and a copy was maintained in their file. And then the shift, on each day for every shift, my client posts a list of things to look out for, and prominently displayed at the bottom of that notice was a notice to the effect that the server should keep an eye out and be prepared to check IDs. And despite being given a copy of the police notice, despite the notices posted every day at the start of every shift, this particular server just didn't follow through on the instructions, and that's why this server was terminated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to the next one.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam President.
Did you have something?
I just wanted to add that as far as some affirmative steps that my client's going to take going forward, last year we had a mystery shopper come in on 2 occasions. There were no issues. What we're going to do this go-around is have the mystery shopper come in every month. We take this matter very seriously. We're incredibly disappointed to be in front of the commission again, and so that's going to be the affirmative step that's taken. The other thing that was done is that all of these servers were put through training again in March, and training stays valid for 3 years, but there will be periodic reviews of the alcohol policy. But we're hopeful that these monthly visits will keep everyone on their toes, and if there are any slip-ups during that process, then we'll be able to root out the servers who aren't up to snuff.
Do you have anything? Do they have a room where they meet or where they sit before do you have anything posted for them that stands out, you know, like even in the washroom, when they go to the washroom, or do they have a place where they have a break room? Do you have something listed up there?
I'm not sure, but what we will do is,
Yes, we have as our attorney stated earlier, we have a pre-shift meeting every day. The minutes of those pre-shifts are documented, and then they're posted next to the time clock where they punch in, so that people who missed out on that pre-shift are current with what was discussed in that meeting. So yes, this policy was discussed and will continue getting discussed and reviewed in that format.
Well, what I was thinking of is something like this, and it says, don't forget 1, 2, 3, 4.
Absolutely.
And they'll see it all the time, because sometimes you put down the minutes or something and they would miss that. So it's a good advice to have up. I would recommend it.
Yep, absolutely. We'll follow through on
Thank you.
that.
Thank you.
thank you.
Item C, hearing in the matter of Hibachi Sushi Seafood Buffet, Inc., 548B West Dundee Road, Wheeling, Illinois, 60090, docket number 12-03.
Mr. Handler.
Thank you. You have before you the petition filed in this cause signed by Chief of Police William Benson. I believe we have representatives of the restaurant here. I would first ask them to please identify themselves and then be sworn. Please continue.
My mother's the owner, so
You need to speak up so we can hear you, please. We need your name.
my name is Hailei Wang, and I just got transfer of my mother. So,
And your mother's name is?
my mother's name is Ping Zhen. Pinzheng.
Mr. Handler?
May I inquire? Does your mother speak English?
A little bit, but I don't speak.
What language does she speak?
Chinese, Mandarin.
I would ask that they be sworn, and if it's the commission's inclination to allow him to translate, I'd ask that the oath that he take include an affirmation that he will agree to translate from Chinese to English faithfully.
That's appropriate. That's fine.
May we have him sworn?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Thank you.
I will ask your mom questions. If you would translate what I am saying to her and then back again. For
Okay.
us. Would you state your full name, please?
I say she full name.
Yes. When I ask a question, if you could just repeat the exact
Okay.
question in Mandarin for your mom.
Okay.
That be okay?
I
Okay, please.
这是我跟你讲的那个刚才讲的。
You have to speak into the microphone with her answer.
Okay.
I asked for her exact legal name, please.
你叫什么名字？我叫郑平。She name is Ping Zhen.
And is she currently the corporate officer of Hibachi Sushi Seafood Buffet, Inc.?
你是不是那个？
Yeah.
Yes.
And are you the president or are you the secretary?
Can you say again?
Are you the president or the secretary of the company?
She's the owner.
The question would be, if she's the president. I understand that you say she's the owner.
Okay.
But it's a corporation, so we need to know what her corporate title is.
Oh, okay.
You have to ask her.
我们是你是老板。是okay. What's the question? restaurant.
Okay. I would ask the commission's permissions, as we appear to have a little bit of a language barrier, to go into what might be considered leading questions, which I would not normally do, but perhaps we might elicit some answers.
I think that would move things along.
Thank you. This is the registration with the Illinois Secretary of State that shows a president and a secretary.
Yeah.
Which of these is her?
President.
Well, she has to actually answer.
你是哪个？就是你是这个名字还是这个名字？正平。
Okay, so you're not the president, but you are the corporate secretary, is that correct?
你是不是口是。
Did you read the petition that was sent to you by me on behalf of the chief of police?
你也没收到那封信。
Are you going to plead guilty or not guilty?
你赞不赞成？
I understand that the answer was yes, but I actually, she has to decide on guilty or not guilty. There's two choices, and it's an important legal distinction. She has to pick one of the two.
Guilty.
These guys shouldn't have a license. You check the cards. Saudi
I'm sorry, could you say it so the court?
Yes.
Guilty? Okay. Since there has now been a plea of guilty admitting to the facts set forth in the complaint, I have no particular interest in presenting. We have a row of witnesses, but it would be repetitive and serve no useful function. I would be happy to entertain any questions that the commission has
Madam President.
as to this particular matter.
Commissioner here.
Chair, I got a couple. I remember when we granted this liquor license, they said that they were going to train their servers. Did that ever happen?
Did you understand his question?
Yes.
Would you ask him?
就是那些 wheelchair， 就是那些去训练。
会以后会教他。
所以he will do.
Could you speak? You have to speak into the microphone. You do.
She said she will do that. For the wheelchair will go to the.
I can't hear you.
We still can't hear you. You have to talk really loud and distinct.
Okay. My mother, she said she will do the wheelchair coming here and will go to the training. She know everything and coming to a customer coming if under the 21 years old, he don't show the bill anymore. The wheelchair will see the ID and he will get the policy on the paperwork and every wheelchair will see.
No, I'm not talking about the arrest date. I'm talking about training the servers, your employees. When she came in to get the license, there was an understanding between us and her that they were going to go through a training process called Bassett training. So every server in that business was trained on how to identify underage individuals that come in.
Yeah.
Did you go through that?
Yeah, it's good. 就是20小孩那些 wheelchair 要去那些
证实一下。
然后就是进来，他们知道20岁进来。Yeah, she said approve it.
Did the village get a copy of that training from them in regards to them completing that task of going through Bassett training?
I don't have it on me, but we do receive from all businesses that were required, yes.
And I understand when the individual who came in to purchase the alcohol, I know when we spoke the last time to your mother, there was a language barrier. Was there a language barrier the day that the individual came in to purchase the alcohol? Did they speak English, Chinese? What did they speak? Or what does the server speak?
English.
Okay.
Yeah, the wheelchair he knows speak how to speak the English. So.
Okay, because it's concerning that the village has no record of this Bassett training from your mother, and she said they were going to go through that training. So did she submit the paperwork? How can she prove that she went and trained every one of the servers at that business, at that restaurant? How can she prove tonight that she trained them?
If I may, Commissioner here?
Absolutely.
It is a requirement of obtaining the license. We added that to the code, I think perhaps sometime after the license was granted. But within the disposition of this particular violation, we can order that the licensee provide evidence of all Bassett training within a certain time frame, 7 days, 10 days, whatever the case may be, as a requirement of the disposition of this particular violation. Tonight, I'm certain that they won't have it with them, but as you decide this, one of the options, and we've done that in the past, is to require proof of Bassett training for not every individual, but typically a manager who can then train servers in the establishment.
Okay, let's say now that she can't produce that. What are we going to do then? It's like putting the cart before the horse. I mean, the violation is, and obviously there's a language issue here, and I don't want to keep this moving forward, but I just want to make sure that we hit this head on with this business, because just by watching them tonight, it just seems like they're just not getting what is needed to be done to safeguard liquor sales from that business.
If that is not produced, we will conduct another hearing to perhaps revoke the license.
Okay, sounds fair enough.
I mean, there are remedies here.
Thank you. That's all.
Can I add to your remedy? Real quick?
Well, you'll decide that.
They have a renewal May 1st. If they don't produce the proper documentation and the village isn't satisfied, then their renewal license isn't renewed, period. It's in a couple days.
Okay.
We can include that in an order as well. That will supersede the motion that you took earlier.
Right. Thank you.
May I interject to the commission also? When we're dealing with sales to liquor to minor, there's basically, although I'm sure you could figure a third way of doing it, there's basically two areas of mistake that seem to be prevalent. The first is failure to look at any identification whatsoever. The second is looking at proper identification and not recognizing what it means. With state ID cards or driver's licenses issued by the state of Illinois, the Secretary of State came up with a pretty good way of identifying whether or not you're over 21. If the format is in a vertical format from top to bottom, you are under 21. And if it is in a horizontal format, you're over 21. And there are a number of other things they have, for instance, the age on the side. I mean, there are a lot of different safeguards. But the primary way to identify it, from across the room, if that card is going up and down, there's a problem. In this particular case, it's not one minor they sold to, it's actually two. And both of them had ID cards that were in the vertical format. So it should have been fairly easy to recognize. It's a fairly elemental concept to recognize in this particular case that the person was not over 21, as opposed to simply failing to ask for you just, for whatever reason, the server doesn't ask. So I just want to be clear in this particular case, language barrier or not, they don't even need to know how to read English as long as they can tell vertical from horizontal.
Madam President, thank you, Mr. Sandler. A couple other questions real quick. What happened to the server that served the alcohol to these minors? The employee?
Right.
Ask your mom. The person who worked there. Mr. Dai.
Someone?
What?
Dai someone?
Yes. You want to know if we're talking about Dai-san Wang?
Yes, we are.
Because
got to speak into the mic. Got to talk into this.
the Dai-san Wang, she got she seen ID first, but she just worked 2 months and it's first time work here, and she count on one age, so he's still not be able to.
I understand that part, but where is she now? Is she still working for you?
Yes, right now.
Okay, what function is she? What is she doing at the restaurant?
She will go to the training and will come back. So.
What training?
for the liquid license, she need to know she don't sell the beer to the age under 21. So.
Okay, so she's the only one from the business that's gone to that training?
Yes, just one week. So.
Oh, okay.
So she will go to the training.
So what's your mother doing now for the other employees in the business to train them on how to identify, like the man over to your right told about the IDs, the different vertical versus horizontal. What are they doing to identify that?
Can you say again? Yeah.
What are you doing to identify individuals that come in to order alcohol? What kind of documents are you looking at?
Like license and ID.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. If you have something first.
No, go ahead. You can go first. Commissioner Adjuris.
Thank you. Mr. Handler?
Yes.
This Miss Wang, how old is she? Do we know?
The servant?
Yes.
Yes. She was born in 1990 in January, so she would have been 22.
22.
10 to 12 days before this happened.
Okay. And this young man is the son of the agent of the corporation. And how old are you, sir?
Me?
You?
I'm 23.
23, okay. That's all I have right now.
Do you work there?
No.
Is anything listed in the space where they go for a break room, or anything that has something up there that reminds the servers and the people that work there that they have to make sure that they don't serve alcohol to someone under 21?
Yeah. She will do like paper, like police, put the tape on the wall. So.
And were they all aware that there was going to be someone coming around maybe to prepare them so that they would make sure that they did the right thing?
Yes.
Do I have anything else?
Clarification on one thing. How is the alcohol served at that establishment? It's a buffet-style restaurant, is it not?
Yeah.
Do you have cool ice and bottles of beer and ice and stuff like that, and somebody takes one and goes to the register? What's the procedure there? Is there a bar there?
They bring it.
They bring it to you?
Yeah, when I was there, they brought it.
Okay. I thought it was like, smorgasbord, help yourself.
Everything but
Then
not
check
the
out.
liquor, because they ask you what you want to
Okay.
drink.
All right. So they bring it to you. Okay, thanks.
From the prosecution point of view, one of the options that this commission has is to utilize the services of, there appears obviously to be some sort of a language issue tonight. One of the options that the commission has is to ask the police department to actually conduct an on-site inspection to, number one, take a look at how things are being done and possibly suggest some remedial steps that they might take to improve their operation. If it were not for a language barrier, I would not suggest that, but I'm not sure that everybody's communicating at the same level at this point.
Thank you. Do we have anything else? We have nothing else. Thank you.
May I address Trustee Adjuris' question from the original hearing? Go ahead. Thank you. The answer to your question is January 26th of 2011. This one happened the 23rd, if I remember. I don't have that one in front of me, but I believe these were both the same night. I think it was the 23rd.
23rd, yes.
So it would be 362 or 3 days. I forgot where the leap year is, but yes, it would have been
the first
within,
case.
On the first one.
So it was two
would have been,
offenses and within 1 year.
it would have been within the 12 months.
That's what I thought.
The commission has the official records. I asked Deputy Chief Stevens to just check our computer records, and that is what we show.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, the board, we will have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hein,
Second.
second by
I didn't give it to her.
Commissioner here?
Can I state the purpose for the record?
Yes,
For the
I was
pur-
going to do that next,
Oh,
but go
okay,
ahead.
if you want.
Go ahead, that's fine.
Okay, for the purpose of deliberating the evidence presented and reaching a determination on the liquor matters this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein,
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris,
Yes.
Commissioner Here,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Chairperson Nabrascato.
Yes. Board goes into executive session at 7 o'clock. At 7:15, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Argyris, second by Commissioner Vogel. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris?
Yes.
Commissioner Heer?
Yes.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Abrascato?
Yes. Mr. Ferrillo?
Relative to the disposition of the matter involving the Westin Hotel, the commission has decided on a $1,500 fine plus administrative costs. Can we get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
And that's without suspension?
That's correct.
We have a motion by Commissioner Argyris,
Second.
second by Commissioner Heer. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris?
Yes.
Commissioner Heer?
Yes.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Abrascato?
Yes.
And President Abrascato, I know you wanted to mention a certain matter to the Westin Hotel related to this. Given the fact that there were 2 violations within 1 year,
Correct.
you want to go forward with that at this point?
We've done this. We will not give you a suspension, which is normally what should be given. If in the event that it comes again, there will be a heavier fine and also suspension.
We understand.
So we would ask also that you make sure that any place where the servers go or they have a restroom or a room where they eat their lunch or whatever, that you have that signage up there so that they see it every single day. It's very important to us and very important to this good establishment. And we necessarily don't want to see anything happen to ruin the establishment. We want to see for your benefit that you run a good business, which you normally do. So we would appreciate that. And when would they bring the check? I would say by April 30th, we would need a check in the
I will
amount.
include that.
And the administrative cost.
That's fine, and we're grateful that no suspension was imposed.
Okay.
My client takes this matter incredibly seriously. We'll follow all of the commission's suggestions and follow through on the plan that we outlined, including the mystery shopper, and we're very confident that all of that will result in us not having to be here again.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Ferrillo?
And relative to the hibachi sushi seafood buffet matter, if the petitioners could step up, please. The commission, and they'll take a motion to approve this, has decided upon a fine of $500, administrative costs, which include the court reporter's cost, and additionally, the order will reflect that your liquor license will not be renewed unless you provide evidence of Bassett training for all of your servers no later than May 1st, which is next Tuesday. Additionally, it will be necessary that your establishment undergo a site assessment by the Village of Wheeling Police Department no later than May 1st. The assessment will involve both review of your daytime operation as well as your nighttime operation, and that will be a requirement for your renewal as well. So the order will reflect $500 fine, administrative costs, requirement of Bassett training, and site assessment no later than May 1st. And if we can get a motion, President Abrascato?
So
Yes.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Argyris, second by Commissioner Vogel. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris?
Yes.
Commissioner Heer?
Yes.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Abrascato?
Yes, but just, I also want to emphasize, make sure that you have someone there that is very fluent in understanding the English, because it's very important, and it's important to your business. So you should have someone there at all times that would be able to accommodate you, so that if there is any questions or someone comes in, that we would be able to do that. So we hope that you understand that. I believe you've understood that and you relayed that to your mother. Okay, thank you.
President Abrascato? Can we ask this young gentleman to explain to his mother the order you entered here tonight as well?
Yes.
Perhaps you can do that for us. Explain to your mother the fines and the the requirement of Bassett training as well as the site assessment. Can you go ahead and explain that to her and make sure she understands that for the commission? You do? Okay.
Where she pay for?
We will send an order, but she can deliver the check to the village clerk's office here, here at the village hall.
So we'll send to later.
Along with all the information that we need.
Again, bring the village hall is where she would deliver, where you're here today, to the village clerk's office, is where the money would be sent, as well as the evidence of the Bassett training. Second floor in this building.
Second floor.
Madam
Yes.
Chairman? Madam Chairman?
Yes.
May I just, the commission, just for 1 second, we have a logistical issue with the police department. I just need a little clarification. We do not, on the police department, have any Mandarin speakers. And we will certainly make an appointment. We will be there well within the time frame that you indicated. But what we will need is a corporate officer present when we're there and somebody to translate from Mandarin to English, English to Mandarin to facilitate the exchange of information. So I would ask a little guidance from the commission to the respondents on that.
Well, what we talked about is to make sure that there is someone there, English, straight English, just like I speak, or so that they can give that to the owner, that they would be aware of that when the officer comes in to do the inspection.
Thank you. We're just trying to avoid it.
Right. Yeah, but that's how we thought we would handle that this time, Mr. Handler. Thank you. That's okay. Thank you. Thank you very
The
much.
only
Yes.
statement I have, Mr. Frillo, the order itself, and what timely matter will they have that in hand so they understand what they have to do here?
They'll have the order by Wednesday, delivered to their
And they have to fulfill all the
establishment
things by next Tuesday?
by next Tuesday.
Okay.
The order will be drafted in my office tomorrow and delivered on Wednesday.
Okay.
And Commissioner Vogel, you have a question?
Can it be made clear to them that if they do not have someone there that can work with the police department in English, that we will have to hire someone at their expense?
Yes, it will, but I can say this, that the police department is going to go out and do a site assessment. Part of that assessment is determining that this license holder understands all the requirements of being a liquor licensee in this community. If it's not clear to the police department that that's the case,
They don't get renewed.
if it's a language barrier, they're not going to get a renewal. So it really behooves this license holder to make this an easy process for the police department to go out to confirm that things are being handled in the right fashion. If in fact we have to go to a translator, that will be at your expense, if need be. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hines, second by Commissioner Here. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hein?
Yes.
Commissioner Argyris?
Yes.
Commissioner Here?
Yes.
Commissioner Brady?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Ebruscato?
Yes. The Village of Wheeling special meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Yep.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Here.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
President Ebruscato?
Here. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting on March 26th. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Trustee Argyris, second by Trustee Brady. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Abstain.
Trustee Vogel?
It's
President Ebruscato?
Yes. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam President.
We have no changes. Proclamations.
Thank you, Madam President. We have Arbor Day, April 27th, 2012. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, Judy Abrascato, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim April 27th, 2012 as Arbor Day and urges all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands.
And our superintendent of our forestry division. Thank you, Ms. Hazelwood, for an excellent job. We appreciate it. And would you like to say a few?
Thank you, President Abrascato, Clerk, and Board of Trustees. Arbor Day is a nationally celebrated observance on the last Friday in April and encourages tree planting and care. This year's Arbor Day will take place on April 27th at 10 a.m. at Walt Whitman School, 133 Willie Avenue. The celebration will include informing the students about the history of Arbor Day and the planting of a Crimson King maple in the schoolyard. Crimson King maples are a wonderful shade tree with burgundy leaves. They grow about 45 feet high and about 35 feet wide. The celebration of Arbor Day represents a priceless opportunity for all Wheeling residents to take a positive action by planting a tree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Proclamation for Silver Star Banner Day, May 1st, 2012. Whereas the Village of Wheeling always honors the sacrifice of the men and women in the armed forces, and whereas the Silver Star Families of America was formed to make sure we remember the blood sacrifice of our wounded and ill by designing and manufacturing a Silver Star banner and flag. And whereas to date the Silver Star Families of America has freely given thousands of Silver Star banners to the wounded and their families. And whereas the members of the Silver Star Families of America have worked tirelessly to provide the wounded of this county with Silver Star banners, flags, and care packages. And whereas the Silver Star Families of America's sole mission is that every time someone sees a Silver Star banner in a window or a Silver Star flag flying, people remember the sacrifices made for this village, state, and nation. And whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Wheeling wishes that the sacrifice of so many in our armed forces never be forgotten. Now, therefore, Judy Abrascato, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim the village's appreciation for the Silver Star Families of America and honors their commitment to our wounded, and hereby declares May 1st as Silver Star Banner Day, the permanent and official day to honor the wounded and ill members of the armed forces.
Thank you.
And one more. Proclamation Building Safety Month 2012. For May 2012, whereas through our continuing efforts to address critical safety issues that affect our citizens, regardless of age or occupation, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, we are confident that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, laborers, and others in the construction industry work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these dedicated members of the International Code Council develop and implement the highest quality codes to protect Americans in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas Building Safety Month, sponsored by the International Code Council, reminds the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us safe, efficient, and livable buildings. Whereas Building Safety Month, an international celebration of safe and sensible structures, the theme for Building Safety Month 2012 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building safety, green and sustainable building, pool, spa, and hot tub safety, and new technologies in the construction industry to ensure that the places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe and sustainable, and recognizes that countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies. And now, therefore, it is hereby proclaimed that May 1st through May 31st, 2012 is Building Safety Month in Wheeling, and all citizens and civic organizations are encouraged to acknowledge the local building safety and fire prevention officials and the important role that they play in public safety.
Thank you. Do we have any citizens' concerns and comments?
Yes, Madam President. Members of the general public may address the board with concerns or comments regarding relevant issues. The persons submitting a petition, concern, or other comment shall be allotted 5 minutes to present their points. We have Mr. Furyk.
Your Honor, members of the board, my name is Richard Furyk. I live at 124 Commons Court. I'm here for a couple of reasons. I want to thank you for your very fine service for the village of Wheeling. You have many fine accomplishments and much that should be credited for. I was touched by your recognition of service members who've given the ultimate sacrifice for their country. I'm here to say a few words on behalf of the clock tower. I live down at Commons Court and I always walk up to the corner, and that's the landmark of our community. Everyone identifies the corners of Milwaukee and Dundee as a very important part of our community, and I think there's an opportunity to consider or reconsider the completion of the clock tower on the location. My purpose is to come here and ask for your consideration, and if there's any way that that issue can be taken under advisement or can be authorized to proceed, because I think it's very important for the village of Wheeling. I'm here to answer any questions, and I do thank you for your consideration. I do this at my own initiative, by the way. That's the purpose I'm doing this for.
Thank you. We'll take that under consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do we have any staff comments?
No staff comments.
Okay, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other regular agenda items.
So moved.
We have a motion by Trustee Agiris.
Second.
Second by Trustee Here. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Abrascato?
Yes. We have no old business.
New business, all listed items for discussion and possible action. Item A, public hearing and 2 ordinances regarding municipal electricity aggregation.
Mr.
A1.
Fondios. Excuse me.
Public hearing regarding an electric aggregation plan of operation and governance.
Need a motion to...
We will now open the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion made by Trustee Here.
Second.
Second by Trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Abrascato?
Yes. It is now open for public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions or statement?
If I may provide an update as part of the public hearing, we do have 2 additional actions this evening. This is the second of 2 required public hearings on the topic. The first ordinance this evening is an amendment to Title IV, which essentially adopts the opt-out program, which was approved via referendum on March 20th. The second ordinance is what we call the POGO, which is a Plan of Operations and Governance, which describes the roles of the village, the consultant, and the electric supplier through this process. The update that I provided last week spoke of the consortium meeting to conclude on a supplier and work towards signing a contract and locking in an aggregate rate. We met this morning for about 4 hours. We believe that we are very close to signing a contract with one supplier. As soon as that happens, I have the authority to lock in the prices for supply at the nominal time. We believe that by the end of the week, we will be at the point where I can do that. Of course, all of that information will be provided in written form to the public. We will have public announcements, and that is the first step in the next step of the program. Once we are finalized with a supplier, letters will go out from the supplier themselves with our letterhead on it explaining the program. There is no need to respond unless you would like to opt out. You will automatically be entered into the program via approval of the referendum from March 20th, and we can move forward. As I mentioned last week, we do expect savings to be greater than originally anticipated. We were thinking approximately 30%. We're estimating now about 40% savings on the power supply side for small businesses and residents. So this is definitely very good news. The plan of operations and governance is on our website if you would like to read it in detail. And again, the ordinance amending Title IV is a requirement from the state for the opt-out program approved through the referendum.
Thank you. We will now close the public hearing if there's no questions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Vogel, second by Trustee Agiris. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Eberscato?
The public hearing is now closed. Does the board have any questions at this time? Trustee Brady?
Mr. Fondilis, you said that the general public is going to be notified. Are we sending everybody a letter or on the opt-out option, and, you know, in a form that they would understand what that means, that they don't have to take this, but if they do nothing, they're automatically in?
Correct. That will be a responsibility of the supplier themselves. However, so that it is very clear that this is the program that was approved via referendum, our logo will be on that letter.
Okay.
Also, as part of the requirements of the eventual supplier, there will be a 24-hour dedicated number for the Village of Wheeling to call. In addition to that, there will be a website also for reference for our residents and small businesses.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. If I have no other questions, do I have a motion to approve the ordinance amending Title IV?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Brady.
Second.
Second by Trustee Hein. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Eberscato?
Yes.
And item A3, ordinance approving an electric aggregation plan of operation and governance.
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Agiris. Second?
I have a question.
Yes.
One quick
Sorry,
question.
Trustee.
Under the role of the village, it says the village is responsible for all financial obligations identified by the consortium. What are those financial obligations other than communicating to the residents, et cetera?
The invoice from the consultant, which was not to exceed $7,000 per cubic.
There's nothing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Brady. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Eberscato?
Yes, and our village manager has an addition.
Thank you. I just wanted to add something to my answer to Trustee Vogel, something that I think is important to advertise. The consortium had the opportunity to roll those costs of the consultant into the supplier's fees. We chose not to do that, again, to reinforce the idea that the municipalities, all of us, are receiving no benefit of this aggregation program. So we had the opportunity to recover that cost by adding on a percentage per kilowatt hour, from actually decreasing from what the savings would be for the residents and small businesses. We chose not to do that in order to keep the process pure. And again, no municipality is gaining anything from these efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 13B, discussion regarding concept review of PUD, Kenzie Development at Kenny Construction Site.
Mr. Janik.
Good evening. This concerns a site on north of Dundee Road on Northgate Parkway. There's two gentlemen here tonight representing Kinsey Development Group. They're here to discuss the concept of putting a apartment complex on the Kenny construction site. Previously, this site saw demolition within the past year and a half. All the buildings were taken down, and now it's a clear site. Generally speaking, what they've done is take the engineering and the site plan from 2008, when a townhouse community was proposed on this site by Lexington Homes. They've used the same area that was engineered. There's floodplain on this property, so there's compensatory and detention required. They've taken the same area that Lexington decided was buildable, and they put their townhouses on it. Now, it is concept plan. They haven't done their engineering, but generally speaking, I think that they're relatively safe in the area they've used. They have 2 access points that the townhouse project previously had as well, and they're here tonight to discuss units, the impact of the community, and their plans.
Do we have any questions? Would you take the podium, please, and state your name and position for us, please?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Warren James. I'm a principal of the Kinsey Real Estate Group. With me is Matt Nix, also with the Kinsey Real Estate Group, and we're pleased to have this opportunity to present to you conceptual plans for Northgate Crossing. Tonight we're going to briefly introduce ourselves, our experience, the site plan, the architectural character, the nature of the transit-oriented development, the market and resident profile, and the benefits to Wheeling. While the Kinsey Real Estate Group is but a year old, this would be my 25th year in the development business. I've had the good fortune of working on a number of developments you may recognize from some of these pictures, both in the Chicago area and throughout the Midwest. Matt also brings a wealth of experience, including income-producing properties, multifamily of the type that we're proposing here, as well as for-sale housing. Matt was formerly with Opus Development, and he and I worked together on a number of developments in the area. Included in my experience is South Commons of Deerfield, which was a transit-oriented development of 153 units. We also recently completed Uptown in Park Ridge, which included 184 units in a mixed-use retail with substantial retail as well. And also located in Bartlett was the Asbury Place Townhome Community, which included 126 townhomes on 13 acres. So a similar approach. All of those were within proximity to a train station and thus attracted transit commuters, rail commuters. Closer to Wheeling, we are currently involved in the development of Waterbury Place in Buffalo Grove. There's some character images of the products that we've built, including the 2-story townhomes you see on the left and the landscape water feature on the right. What we find particularly attractive about this site is its proximity to rail, and we're embracing the vision created by Wheeling. We see this as a catalyst for future development along the Dundee corridor and fitting well with your concept, within your concept vision. The site plan includes 8 buildings, each of them containing 32 units for a total of 256 units. As you can see, they're centered around a clubhouse, and it also contains substantial green spaces for the benefits of the residents. Again, it's 256 units on 15.7 acres for a total density of 16.3 dwelling units per acre. Within each building, there are 21 one-bedrooms, or a total of 168 one-bedroom, one-bath plans, ranging from 650 to 800 square feet. We anticipate the monthly rent to be between $1,100 and $1,400. There are also a total of 88 two-bedroom plans, ranging from 1,085 to 1,150 square feet. Anticipated rent $1,600 to $1,800. There are 516 parking spaces for these 256 units, approximately 2.0 spaces per unit. Included among those are 64 enclosed garage spaces. We've also identified a couple of different areas for additional land bank parking should it become necessary, but we don't believe that would be the case. As noted earlier, the site plan is centered around a clubhouse, which would contain a fitness center, an entertainment area, media room, and a business center. The outdoor amenities would include a pool, a sun deck, place for volleyball, bocce court. There would also be walking paths and a water feature. Some pictures of prior developments. On the left is Heatherfield, and the upper left is Heatherfield and Glenview, and the lower left is Waterbury Place in Buffalo Grove. As is the picture on the right is also Waterbury Place in Buffalo Grove, just typical of our prior work. While we've not landed upon any architecture, we wanted to give you a sense of the scale and the combination of materials that might be used. These are character photos of product that was designed by Bloodgood Sharp Buster, whom we've also engaged to design this particular housing type. These are examples of typical clubhouses. Again, you get a sense of the character. And this is a sense of the three-story scale of the specific building type that we are proposing for this site. The building itself, as noted, contains 8 garage spaces on the front elevation flanking the front entrance. Those 8 would be allocated to renters wishing to rent a garage space as well. On the first floor, there are one bedroom unit on the left-hand corner in yellow, 3 two-bedroom plans on the corners in blue and green, and 4 one-bedrooms in the brownish hue on the rear elevation. The second and third floors are identical. Each contains 2-bedroom plans on the corners and 1-bedroom plans in the center. And to address some of the transit-oriented development features, I'll turn it over to Matt Nix.
Thank you, Warren. Good evening. As we mentioned before, transit-oriented has been a key in the marketplace for now, and is specifically how we were drawn to this site. We feel that it speaks to the success of a development, specifically a purpose-built multifamily development. We think that transit saves time and money for future residences, and the demand in all our research supports this. Right now, the North Central line offers regularly morning and evening commuter service downtown to Chicago. With current gas prices and parking, we've done rough analysis where we see that this will make a meaningful impact on a resident's budget to the tune of $4,000 to $5,000 a year. And we think that, in growing gas prices is a compelling reason to identify housing, specifically rental housing, near transit. Historically, rental housing within proximity, walking distance to transit, generally 10 minutes or a half a mile, has historically outperformed all other suburban housing. And finally, we see the transit location within the station area as our project. We see it as a catalyst. As a standalone project, it works very well in its size, in the amenities that are being offered, and the transportation. However, we also see that given the village's vision for this area and the allocation of land, the developable area, we see that this is something that our residents will benefit from: the environment, the growing pedestrian access, the growing retail, and the wonderful park and public amenities. Looking at the Metromax map specifically, when you see the North Central line, there really hasn't been any what we'll refer to as purpose-built rental housing in a number of decades. And expanding on that idea, really, when you look at the last wave of development and transit-oriented development specifically, it's all focused on for-sale housing, specifically condominiums. By our calculations, there are really only about 270 luxury apartment units in all of the northern and northwest suburbs that are within proximity to rail. Probably the best example would be the Glen in the Glenview Naval Air Base redevelopment. There's a 180-unit apartment development in the Glen Town Center, about 3/4 of a mile from the northern Glenview train station, which has historically commanded the highest rents in the marketplace and drawn residents from throughout the northern suburbs. our resident profile, as we mentioned before, given the changing attitude, the changing attitude in renting versus owning, we find that our target profile more oftentimes is not necessarily not going to be an owner or hasn't been an owner, but they're looking to defer that decision. These will be luxury rental apartments, minimum qualifying income, typically about $70,000 minimum average, but given that change in attitudes, renting versus owning, certainly incomes will be, significantly higher than that. Target market, young professionals, 25 to 34, working in the I-290 corridor, ideally located proximate to Allstate, Estellas, Takeda, and many other firms. We also see an opportunity for what we'll call the split commuters. One couple would be commuting locally via car, the other person would be hopping on the train and going downtown. It works very well. We know that people here will own a car, but it really does lend itself to a couple that might only own one car versus two, just as an alternative they can take the train. We also, in other developments, we've had experience with HR departments. A lot of the firms, particularly pharmaceutical firms, high-tech firms, have corporate demands to both recruit and retain high-quality employees. They also oftentimes have foreign nationals on contracts that are here for 1 or 2 years that are seeking high-quality housing, but they're not going to jump into the marketplace and purchase. And then finally, we see an opportunity with empty nesters. I think oftentimes we'll find that people who have looked into downsizing, they've been able to sell their home, it's taken some time, and they're not necessarily interested in jumping back into home ownership. This gives them the flexibility to make a transition to their next option. And we refer to this category as the renter by choice. These folks have the means to purchase, but they're really attracted by the flexibility. They're seeking a maintenance-free lifestyle. They're seeking that flexibility of renting over owning. We anticipate a high usage of the restaurants and the entertainment venues in the restaurant corridor, and certainly they're attracted. They have made the decision to live in the suburbs, so they will be attracted to the wonderful parks and recreational facilities that you've established here, the aquatic center, the rec center, the redevelopment of Heritage Park, the bike paths, et cetera. So just to sum up, we see this as a great location for the community we've envisioned, and we hope there are a lot of benefits to Wheeling as well. It's a luxury rental housing product to meet the changing times in Wheeling. We estimate approximately $6.5 million worth of disposable income generated by these 256 households that more than likely will be deployed in and around Wheeling. $650,000 to $700,000 in property taxes is our initial estimate. And again, this idea of a catalyst to support the overall plans of the station area and the town center, we see it as medium density as the density grows towards the center and immediately around the train station and to support the retail. We are approaching this in a joint venture with the landowner, Kenny Construction, who has a long history with Wheeling, and a good partner. And finally, this is a high-quality design, quality construction, professionally managed, highly amenitized. We're developing this with a long-term goal for the future that the right location will produce a successful community for the long term. And with that, we're available for questions, and we look forward to moving along with the process. Thank you.
Do I have any questions? Trustee Lang.
Thank you. Well, as you know, Wheeling has a lot, and I underline a lot, of apartments. So this plan really has to set itself apart from what we currently have. Some things I'd like to see with it, should we go ahead with TIF funding, for instance? I'd like to see the church property brought into it now instead of later. And I think that would go a long way with properly using that TIF funding. A few other things. you're not directly connected to the train station, so you really need a clear path somehow, some way to get there, and that's crossing over property that isn't necessarily yours yet. So you have a lot of work to do as well to get cross-access and so on, whatever you do to make a nice, clean, clear path to the train station. And then lastly, since it does back up to the train, I think you really need to go out of your way to make the property look good from the train itself. I think that would go a long way. So, thank you.
Trustee Vogel.
I was also going to mention the traffic crossing Dundee Road, not only the access to get there, but to get across it. And I don't know what your plans are. If you, I'm familiar with some of your projects, in particular the Deerfield one, and they have a overpass over Deerfield Road to get to the train station from that location, I believe. So they're not crossing Deerfield Road, which is not nearly as busy as Dundee Road is. It's a two-lane road there. Also, they, as you go forward, you're talking about possible garage spaces to rent out. Is there anything in your plans for charging stations within those garages? I'd like to see something in the future plans for that also. Other than that, everything looks really good. It really does, and I think it's something that would fit there.
Do we have any other? Trustee Brady and then Trustee here.
Thank you. We have, like Trustee Lang says, a lot of rental units in Wheeling, but several of them stand out heads and shoulders above them, the rest of them, because since the day they were built many years ago, they've had the same owners that built them to own them and manage them all the way through. Some of the ones that have done less than standard, as a matter of fact, some substandard, are the ones that somebody builds them, sells them, and the purchaser is just his investment. He doesn't care. He turns it over to a management corporation, and the place just kind of gets run down. The two that I have in mind that are highly successful in town here are upper end with the rentals and everything else. What are your intentions? Are you going to, is Kinsey going to own these? Are you building these to own and keep?
Our long-term, or our objective, is to own these long-term. That would be our primary goal. Obviously, it's a function of Kenny's. Their representative, Dave LeCavalier, is here tonight. So we're in this together. But I can't make commitments for what Kenny's going to do, right?
Things can happen. I understand that, but
that certainly our preference at this point in time would be a long-term hold.
Thank you.
And Trustee here.
Yes, thank you. I love what your projects. I've seen your project in Buffalo Grove, the one at Waterbury Place. Excuse me. And I encourage my board members to drive up there and take a look at that. It's a beautiful, beautiful complex.
Thank you.
I do like the townhome concept. And they back right up to the railroad tracks. And they're on the south side of Route 22, which is a busy street as well. But I am not convinced with rental property. I've seen it before where they start out well, and then all of a sudden they can't sell them or rent them out, and then they now want to convert them into condos. You know, they go from rental property or apartments to trying to sell them off as condos. I hope that is not what takes place with this, but if you could build something similar to what they have up at Waterbury Place on that project, I would, I'm telling you, it's nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next step then would be for the Plan Commission, is that correct?
Right. This is concept review. Yes.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Trustee Hein, I'm sorry.
A couple of things about the site itself. It's going to blend in very well with our plans for the station center and so on and so forth. My concern is that it looks like you're using the same footprint like the Lakota had laid out years ago, and it's a good layout. the success of this project is going to be not with building it, but maintaining it and keeping it forever, the way it looks from the day that you open it up. And the only way you're going to do that is with good, proper, strong management. So I'm looking really forward to having somebody there that's going to really put their foot forward and make this thing not only look good for the next couple of years, but 10, 15, 20 years down the line. And some of our most successful operations as far as apartments are people that have been single ownership for the past 25, 30 years. So I also would like to see, I see you have a water feature in the center of your project, and I believe, I thought I saw something there. Wheeling is getting to be known as the fountain town of the northwest suburbs, I like to call it. And Prairie Park put in a nice feature over there on Wolf Road, and of course we have Dundee and Milwaukee Avenue and everything. So maybe you could put something in at the entrance of that that would be beneficial to everybody that goes by, not only the people that live there, but also go down Northgate Parkway, because it's quite a busy area over there. But welcome to Wheeling.
Thank you.
Trustee Adjiris, you had, I'm sorry, thank you.
I just wanted to piggyback on, I like the development. Times have changed and not everybody is homeowner ready to buy. And the age group that you're looking at, and I got a couple of them at home, they're going to be in my home or they're going to be renting somewhere because it's going to be hard for them to buy. I like the idea that you guys did your homework and you went out and you see all the new office buildings that are being built up and down that 294 corridor, which is within a mile and a half of our own community. And to pinpoint this community as those who are coming here to live here for a couple of years and the transition and stuff like that is key, because there is a market for that. We have people that are working very close to our community here, living in hotels today. Go by Candlewood, it's packed, because these guys are here for 6 months or a year or what have you, and they need a place to live. I think this is a great domino effect for what we're trying to do with the Wicks property. I think that'll help that developer with this development going in there, and you're going to see a trickle up and down that Dundee corridor that's going to be a vision for down the road. I really do. That we need to do something with. So thank you for doing a nice job. Your projects are nice. I've gone to the one in Buffalo Grove. It's beautiful, and it still maintains to be beautiful too. So good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
We thank you for considering us, and we know that with your expertise and us there, we will have the greatest in the area. So thank you.
Thank you
and
very much.
We look forward to the Plan Commission will be next. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Madam President, just on their item alone, it is concept review, it's non-binding. If we can get a consensus from the board for the record in the minutes that it is to be forwarded to the Plan Commission, that would be complete. Right,
Okay.
Well,
All right.
Trustee Hine had
All
a
right.
comment prior to my finishing.
Can I have a consensus of going to the Plan Commission? Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Hine?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Adjiris?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So for the record,
Thank you.
so states that you will go to the Plan Commission. Thank you.
Item 13C, discussion regarding concept review of development proposals by Board of Trustees.
Mr. Fundulis.
Thank you, Madam President. I think we just had an excellent example of what the discussion tonight concerning concept review is meant to be. Several weeks ago, the board had introduced the idea of an official process for concept reviews beyond those just for PUDs. Attorney Ferrolo has introduced some language in order to codify the process so that we can continue with these ideas of concept review for the board seeing projects as an introduction to the project before it ever gets to the Plan Commission. So with that, I'll introduce Attorney Ferrolo to discuss the nuances of the language.
Thank you, Managers Fundulis. The language before you borrows from the concept review language that we have in our code and have had in our code for plan unit developments. As you saw tonight in action, any plan unit development prior to going to the Plan Commission is required to come to this board for concept review. The concept review is non-binding, but the board can direct the plan unit development to the Plan Commission, can discuss changes. It's an opportunity to interact with the developer. The language before you deals with rezonings and text amendments. It's not every special use or variation. It is rezonings and text amendments, which are bigger changes than typical special uses and variations. And it really follows along with the concept we see for plan unit developments, in the sense that it requires that an individual seeking a rezoning and a new development in conjunction with that rezoning must appear before a development review committee, which is made up of a staff grouping, which is the same thing for plan unit developments. The development review committee exchanges ideas with the developer, and ultimately, prior to a rezoning being processed at the Plan Commission or a text amendment, that developer has to come here. And what I want to be real clear about is that it is, again, non-binding. Even if the board ultimately doesn't like the rezoning at that point, it's a chance to share ideas with that developer and exchange ideas. But a property owner has a right to seek the rezoning despite a negative comment during the concept review. I think it is an opportunity for you to give input. I think any developer would likely be smart to listen to that, to incorporate it, but it's non-binding, it's an exchange of ideas, and ultimately a process to deal with rezonings and text amendments exactly like we deal with plan unit developments before they come before you for final approval. So with that, it's for discussion, it's a draft. Prior to amending the zoning code, we will have to notice up a public hearing. These changes will be considered by the Plan Commission. The public will have an opportunity to give input, but we did want to start to get input from the village board on whether we've captured what you were looking for when you talked about concept review. And if we haven't, we certainly want to get this right before it hits the Plan Commission.
Trustee Brady.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim. I think you only hit a piece of, I think, what at least I perceived as a concept review when I hoped we could put together a team, including people from the Plan Commission, the board, and staff. It was more than just zoning. I think it was, overall the entire concept of the project, like we just did here now, sometimes by the time that these projects get to us, everybody's giving their opinion, and we're the last ones to give our opinion, yet we're the ones that have to say yes or no to it. And it's a shame, because by the time it gets to us, we're making changes to what the Plan Commission or staff has done, and it's just, it seems like it's a little bit, something isn't working right. And that's why I had said it would be nice if the board became more involved in the concept review of a project before it gets off the starting line. And I don't know how that can happen. I mean, I was hoping that we could come up with a simple way to keep it streamlined. I don't want to really add another step to this. I'd like to keep it kind of streamlined so that it isn't too tough. And in the zoning issues, well, that's part of it. But I think we should have some sort of say in how, maybe a word from this board. If this board, the 7 of us, are not real satisfied with it, and what's the sense of somebody going through all the gyrations of going through the Plan Commission staff reviews and everything else, and it comes to us and we say no, and that's why I was kind of hoping. And another thing, I had a question on this. I'm not really knowing what the whole scope of this is going to be. What happens when we overturn a Plan Commission recommendation? I mean,
the petitioner has the right to seek review in the circuit court. Here, I want to address some of your points. You mentioned that if the village board doesn't like a concept, why should someone go forward? Let's take, for example, a special use. A developer that wants a special use for a project. If that developer, and first off, state statute sets forth the procedure through which zoning changes special uses are ultimately gained. That procedure involves a public hearing where full evidence is put on before a body such as a plan commission, where the public has input, staff, and a docket's put together for the village board to ultimately approve or disapprove. We can't change that. This was not about changing that at all. This was to give you an introduction to bigger projects that might involve rezonings, like a plan unit development. But let's take a special use, for example. If a developer comes before you and can make a good case that based on the evidence presented, he meets all the standards for a special use, he's entitled to that special use and might get a no here at this board, but may be able to convince a judge that that special use should have been granted. So what I want to be clear about is commercial developers have property rights as well. And they have to use their property in conjunction with your zoning, which includes special uses. When we go to rezonings, if they meet certain standards, they can also make a case that a rezoning makes some sense as well. So when the board looks at these things for concept, really what this board is doing is deciding early whether or not, and just it's an opinion, it's non-binding, early on in the process whether or not this development is meeting the standards they need to meet. Your decisions aren't just, I don't like the color. That's not what I hoped to go there. Your decisions are, is this development in compliance with the intent of our zoning code? And it takes more than just this kind of a presentation tonight, some renderings, an apartment complex. Everybody seemed to like it so far. It's non-binding. This could hit the Plan Commission, and this is a PUD. PUDs are mass deviations from your zoning code. No one's entitled to a PUD, which is really why you've had concept for a PUD. By the time this goes to the Plan Commission, and hypothetical, purely hypothetical, hits a public hearing and gets back to you, you may disapprove it. There's going to be evidence elicited. There's going to be more developed plans. This is just for this developer on a PUD. Should we keep moving forward? Because with a PUD, more than anything else, you have the right to say no. When you get away from a PUD and you get into special uses that have standards, rezonings that have standards, your right to say no, it's not as absolute. It's just not. It is, you have to judge every development that comes before you in comparison to what your code requires. And ultimately you make a decision based on your code and based on the standards that are before you. So we got to be real careful here, Trustee Brady, on this idea of concept review, even for rezonings. And I really want to be clear. When we put this, if you put this in place, let me rephrase, and someone comes before you and you say, you know, that's not really what I want to see there. I think it really hurts the zoning code. That property owner will have the right to go to the PC and come back before you. Now, bringing every special use to you for concept review, I think would overburden this board, and really I would not recommend that. I would recommend it for the bigger changes that address.
That's basically right. What I'm talking about. I mean, I don't say every special use, but something of this magnitude. Certainly, this board should be involved in getting the opportunity to look at it and say, yeah, if we like the concept of it, we like the use of it, proceed. Now, whether the bricks are yellow or black or whatever, these things wash out in the Plan Commission. But there's a lot of times that things come from the Plan Commission that we don't fit in our scheme of things as far as what we want to see in this community, and we turn it down. And you know, and I can't see how could two commissions that live in the same community and people are supposed to be almost to the same not that we have to be, but you know, because that's why there's so many of us up here. How could we be so far off with one group likes it and the other group doesn't like it. And we've always had the options of there's things that, aren't arbitrary. Traffic, they can say there's not going to be, the developer say those are not going to be traffic problems. We can say, yes, there are. I mean, that's something I think we have the right to say and a right to turn it down if that were the case. But the design, the use, the whole idea of what these people bring to us, I think that is what we should at least give a nod to. Now, whether it be the whole board, whatever it is, I don't know. I had hoped that there's a lot of communities around here that have a development team that consists of several plan commissioners, several board members, and staff. And this way here, whoever the board members are, whoever the plan commissioners are that sit on this committee, kind of understand the flavor of where their group likes to go with whatever the development would be, and could give some input up front on it.
Well, I just want to say a couple of things on that. The Plan Commission is a body that's recommending. They don't make the final decision. Ultimately, they are designed by law to be an independent body and to review and give you their recommendation. And then you take it and you apply the codes to come up with your final decision. Your decision is the ultimate decision. We've got some big concepts floating here that we're not going to resolve tonight. But, we talked about PUDs. The zoning code for plan unit developments requires currently, Trustee Brady, requires a development review committee to meet with a developer. Prior to this particular hearing we had tonight, that committee is made up of staff, representatives from the village manager's office, planning, building division, engineering, public works, fire, and police. That committee is supposed to meet with a developer on a PUD, and PUDs, again, are mass deviations from your zoning code, review it, and give input on what they think might work, what they think might not work, and ultimately direct the developer to the village board for concept review. So you've got a development review committee structure in place. It's not made up of village board members, but it's made up of your staff members currently that we're going to use for my rezoning language if you adopt some form of it. Now, if you're talking about some other committee made up of village board members, that is not what I set out to draft. That wasn't my understanding, but I'm willing to take a crack at it depending on the direction of the board.
See what anybody else has to say.
Trustee Agiris.
Thank you. I agree with Jim with the standards regarding special uses. If you meet the standards and they go through the process, and that's the process. The PUD right now, they're coming before us for concept review anyway. I think the problem that I have that we've seen in the last year and a half is those who don't want a special use take our zoning, do text amendments to the zoning, and expect it to go through the Plan Commission and come to this board and pass. Now you're playing with our zoning. You're playing with what we're trying to do here. We had that in an instance within an industrial park where it was I-3 that wanted to split up, subdivide, put commercial, keep I-3, do outdoor storage, didn't want the status of outdoor storage, wants to go before the Plan Commission, comes before us, we shoot him down. And the guy buys the property. This is where the problem is. And I think business friendly and to be upfront with people, if anything else is part of testimony, they still always have the right, and I agree with you, to go through the process. But I think if they have the right to go to court based on our findings and how we vote, then they should have in those facts and findings that they came before us first. If you want to start playing around with text amendments of zoning, and you want to call yourself a permitted use versus a special use, because I'm doing a text amendment to the permitted use, I have a problem with that. And to throw that burden on the Plan Commission, in my opinion, is going to turn around and ricochet on us.
It's always been that way.
I understand that, but now we're getting more, I understand that, but now we're getting more of that. And years ago, Jim, developers weren't afraid, and I think the board wanted to change the image in this community, that we wanted to put a face before this board and say, you know what, welcome, thank you, like we did tonight. Thank you for considering Wheeling. Thank you for coming here. Please go to the Plan Commission. Or, you know what, I have a problem. Maybe work with staff. I think the way you're trying to go around this thing might be the wrong way for you folks to go. okay? You need to get back with the attorney. You need to get back with Mr. Janik, our engineering, our village manager, and say, you know what? The process that you have this vision for in this community the first time you've been here is not going to fly. Still go through the process, but we're trying to help you here, okay? I think that's what this board was looking at. We did that a lot, Judy. When I first started with you, we always had somebody come in. And it was, you know what? It was before a meeting, it was a special workshop, or it was just a discussion item in a regular meeting. Say, hey, we got somebody here that's interested in building a grocery store or something. Welcome. We want to, great. I don't want to hear it on the street. I want to see it in front of us here. And I think, you know what, now that we have the audio and everything else, people want to get excited and say, hey, there's something great new coming into Wheeling. So I understand what you're saying, Jim, but I think we're getting more and more of this stuff where we're getting these creative loopholes that these developers are finding to try to, you know, but the magic law, the word, and it's your favorite word, lawsuit, you know, everything's a threat today. And I think, you know what, I think we need to be upfront, and if you're going to do that, you have the right to do that. I know there's statutes that they have to follow, but you know what, I think our testimony means a lot too. At least we gave you a fair shake, and you didn't do this a year ago, that we try to give you some advice to maybe go to staff, or the way you want to do this is maybe not the right way to do it.
But if I may.
I know. I don't want to see every special use, Jim.
No, but what this does, this language gives you, I think, exactly what you just asked for.
And I'm just piggybacking on what you got in front of us.
Right. It gives you that. For text amendments and rezonings, it requires a developer to come before you.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right.
I'm just making a statement based on what you gave us.
I think it works.
I think it works good, and I'm trying to say that to the rest of the board here. But we got to do something to get a little bit of handle on it.
Trustee Vogel was next.
I was just going to make a comment to what he had written here, and Jim verified that, is what it seemed like was informally in place today, the first part of that, so I don't see any change to that. The second part, where they are required to come before us, I'm not too sure. Didn't we get rid of that concept a few years back to eliminate one step in the process and leave it up to the Plan Commission? I thought at one time, 8-10 years ago, we had another commission, Zoning Board of Appeals or something that was in between. We eliminated that step. Now are we adding back a step?
What you did then was you combined the duties of the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission now handles all the duties that the ZBA used to handle. So you didn't eliminate a step, you actually put it into one body.
Save time. You condensed it to save time.
A lot of time.
Right.
Save some time. You're adding a step here for rezonings. It's really as simple as what you saw tonight, a presentation and some exchange of ideas. Ultimately, if you pass this and the board says to a developer, you know, we don't like it, we're not really in favor of that rezoning, it's not in compliance with our comprehensive plan, whatever the case may be, that developer can process that information and still move forward. It is one more step. Short answer, yes, it is. That's what's been discussed with the board over the past couple of months. You know, staff's looking for direction to get this final, because ultimately the amendment of the zoning code will go before the Plan Commission and then come back to you for final approval. We've got some time with this, but it is another step.
Trustee Hunt.
Thank you. The concept review is a good step. It should be setting the tone for the major developments that come before this whole community. Ultimately, the responsibility for passing that is this board. But we also have a duty to pass on our thoughts and where we're going in our direction. And we do it through a number of different things, like comprehensive plans and different things that we do throughout the year. But we're charging our planning commission, and they are a fact-finding commission, and with the sole duty of giving us all the information that they get from one way or another. But I think it's important that we all keep this so-called coming attraction reviewed so that everybody can see what's coming And these folks were a good example of it tonight. They did their homework. They dotted the I's, they crossed the T's, and they came here with a good plan, which was something that we all added to. We just didn't say, yeah, go ahead and do it, build that thing just the way it is. We said we'd like to see this, we'd like to see that. That's got to be translated down to the Planning Commission so they can make it a part of their review process. So that when it gets done, we've got a project that's ready to go when it comes before this board. So if it means that we have to take a couple of trustees from this board and perhaps make them a part of that review, I don't know from the very beginning. But that's something to think about. And I don't think we're going to get it all hashed out tonight anyway, but at least we're talking about it and we got some dialogue going. And the more we can pass down to all the people that help us and do a great job. The Planning Commission does a wonderful job. And they're really charged with a responsibility. And not only are they getting it from us, but they're also getting it from the developer who comes in and wants certain things. So what we want to do is make sure that everybody's on the same playing field. Because once it gets beyond us and we go through the process, then it comes back to us and we look at it and we go, whoa, what happened to what we were talking about? So the buck stops here. So let's continue that on. Thank you.
You looking for direction now?
I think so. Direction would be, I'm hearing some that like it and some that maybe might want some change. So ultimately, what should staff do at this point?
So send it to the PC? Is that what you're looking for?
Sure, if that's...
Let them tweak it.
In its current form, sure.
Let's see what the decision is here. We'll take, what do you feel, Trustee Lang, have it go to the PC and then we can work that together?
Agreed, and I didn't add anything before to it, but I think the way we handled this tonight was a real good indication of what it's going to be. There's some simple questions that are answered. By no means there was any detail tonight, but there was kind of a direction given. So, yes, definitely.
Thank you. Trustee Brady.
Well, I would rather see several board members and several plan commissioners on a committee. I would sit in on the initial committee, but tonight was good. Now, is this information that any of the comments tonight going to get to the plan commission? How's that going to happen?
We can write a report.
Report, and then they'll give that to the
That's because that's
Plan Commission and join that together, and then there has been talk that I would appoint someone when we have these bigger things to look at, that we would have two trustees involved with that.
Okay, thank
But
you.
after we go back to we'll go to the Plan Commission, have them the information, and they'll discuss that, and then we'll go from there. Trustee here.
I too agree with my colleague, Trustee Lang. I like the way tonight went. I'm not too sure I'm convinced that we should put trustees on a board of review. I think we may be going down a slippery slope in certain areas, but I think discussing it as a group and then sending this back to the Planning Commission is a great idea, but I'd like to hear from the Planning Commission as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Hunt.
I like the way it's set up presently, and with the review going before the board first and then out as a concept. I'm not too much concerned about who's on that particular committee. Some of our staff has to be involved in it because they got the engineers and everybody else that are involved, so that's what has to happen.
Trustee Vogel.
Look at the way it was written. I don't think we have to change the makeup of the committee.
Trustee Adjurs.
Fine with it. Go with it.
Okay. I like exactly what happened tonight.
Me too.
We've had that happen before, many years back, and it usually becomes something that we work together. So if we would get documentation over to the Plan Commission,
We will.
so that we all know that we're looking at the same, and then we'll go from there once that is on board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have official communication. Trustee Agiris?
Just got a couple of positive things. We continue to have ambassadors that represent this community of ours, and they're young people, which is also nice. But just wanted to make an announcement. If you guys remember, in 2009, we had honored a young man in wrestling from Wheeling High School, Max Lowry. Just this past weekend, he made it to the finals for the U.S. Olympic trials, 55 kilos, and Greco-Roman wrestling in Iowa City. This young man wins again. I understand he's going to London to represent the United States, and he was a class of 2009. Anybody who wants to follow it, it's iowacitytolondon.com. You can go to that website and you can follow what's going on with these young people that are competing to be in the Olympics. But here's a Wheeling kid, and I guess if you look at the website, they had quoted him, and he still states Wheeling. Where a lot of these kids that go and travel and they train, they mention Colorado or California or somewhere else. But this kid still calls home Wheeling, and I think that's great. And another member of his class, she continues to do well, and that's Haley. And I got noticed that tomorrow night on Conan O'Brien on TBS at 10 o'clock, she will be appearing on Conan O'Brien. So she continues to represent herself very well with her family and this community of ours. Boy, that 2009 class, Wheeling High School.
She's going to be at Helaba Lupus or Lupus.
Lupus. Wait a minute, not Lupus.
Yes.
What's it called, John? Lollapalooza, that's it. But yeah, she's also doing that. So she continues to do well. And this is a great thing for young people in our community that are making national headlines. So I just wanted to note that to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
We don't realize how much there was some, every day there's something in the paper. And the only problem is some of it is from Buffalo Grove and their Wheeling Knights.
Yeah.
And the Wheeling Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association is having their all-you-can-eat spaghetti dinner Sunday, April 29th from 12 to 4 at Wapagetti's. The dinner includes all-you-can-eat cheese, sausage, or pepperoni pizza, or the spaghetti dinner with homemade salad, homemade sauce and salad and garlic bread. The WCP AAA is a not-for-profit organization that raises funds to purchase necessary equipment for the Wheeling Police Department that aren't available when we have our budget. And I guess I brought a lot of laughter tonight with what I brought up, and I apologize, but you know what? It's great to see you all laugh, because we don't have that. And I'm laughing tonight. I just want to tell you I'm married 52 years today. So that deserves a medal. So do we have anything else? Yep. If we don't, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Hine.
Second.
Second by Trustee Here. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hine?
Yes.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
President Abrascato?
Yes. We are adjourned.